Welcome to Inspiration in Action Television, where you'll meet people who will inspire you to bring your dreams to life. Our guest is Diane Valiquette from the Separation Divorce Resource Center in Ottawa. Interesting place.
Different place.
Different place. Yeah. Diane took me on a tour, and she's got rooms for everything. Rooms to dig deep into certain beliefs that people hold. You've got rooms for sort of energy healing. You've got rooms to just chat. You've got all kinds of resources for people to take advantage of. Now, kind of curious that a person would want to start a resource center like that. I've never heard of it before.
Right.
Are you the only one?
So it's the only one in Canada, and I think North America. So no one has. We have a lot of resource centers like Family Services do us, but no one specializes in separation, divorce, relationship resource center.
You know, we joke that it's one-stop shopping. I mean, that's kind of a joke, but it really is.
It's the truth.
So who comes to you? Who comes to see you?
So we have three types of people. We have people who want to leave relationships and have been in relationships for a long time and don't know how to do it and have decided that's it, I need to get out. There are couples who have gone to marriage counseling, who have tried everything, and we're told, go try there, it might be your last resort. And, you know, they try to say, okay, this is our last piece, help us. And then we have people who have decided just together that they're not fit together and that they just want to separate, and we do mediation, and then they take co-parenting classes, and it's an awesome result.
Because we need education, not only how to be married, but we need education on how to stay consistent for kids after we're not married too, right? So education's a very key component. I want to talk a little about your story though, Diane, because there's a personal reason why you wanted to open the resource center. So tell us a little background about you.
Okay, so a little background about me is I'm working at the Prison for Women, and I think that I'm the youngest employee at the Prison for Women doing life skills. I'm bilingual. I, have a specialty with all the French inmates, and I, have a big ego, and life is awesome. And I, married to this awesome guy, and life is so good, and everybody. Then I have my first child, and she sleeps when she's supposed to, eats when she's supposed to. So the ego's inflated. I walk around. I got this big salary, big job, and all of a sudden he leaves me for someone that when I had my second child, she was a harder child. I hired someone to replace me, and she replaced me.
Oh, she replaced you in your marriage as
well? In my marriage.
At your workplace?
Workplace, everywhere. So,
well, that's not even funny.
No, it's not. No. So we owned a business, and I would do the books and still work at the prison and have this child. And I hired her to replace what I did, because I couldn't, raise two kids at this point, and my daughter was colicky. And about 7-8 months later, my daughter was 18 months old, and he said, I'm leaving you for her. So she replaced me.
Well,
and
then.
I was devastated. So the ego.
By the way, no one can replace you, sweetheart. Nobody.
So deflated, broken,
broken,
like nervous breakdown, broken. My dad, my mom, my brothers packed the house and packed me and the girls and moved me back to Ottawa. And it took me almost a year. And I say that when I'm teaching my course, Rebuilding When Your Relationship Ends, is I had the opportunity because I had an awesome family, and I had the greatest parents, and I was able to have a breakdown. And most men who go through separation, divorce, can't. They got to keep working. They got to keep feeding the kids. I was able to break down. So I broke down for, I'm saying, 8 months. And finally my dad said, okay, that's enough. You need to get your life back together. And so with the deflation and learning and trying to figure out what happened and, doing some studies, I decided to go. I was working for Family Services at the time. Went out to, they asked, I said, how come there's not more support for people going through separation and divorce? So they allowed me to go to Colorado and learn the book. There's a book called Rebuilding When Your Relationship Ends. It's a 10-week seminar. So I went to Colorado, got trained, fell in love with this hot guy that was laying there and taking the course at the same time as me. Then started a long-distance relationship with him. Moved to New Jersey, took courses all over the place, realized that I was in the same marriage, and I was like, this is not funny. So
you were learning. You were in school, girl.
So left there, came back home to Ottawa, started over again, and said, okay, what do I do now? Like, what do I do? And I grew, I'm grown up. I got these two little girls, and here I am again. So I decided I was going to start doing the course. So that was going well, and then I went into mediation. Then I went into couples counseling, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
And what was it about it? Like, were you getting results that were helping you while you were teaching people,
I
or
was
you
getting
saw you were helping people?
incredible results. And as I was helping people, I was helping myself, and I was getting stronger and stronger. And I always, like, to me, it's get to the core issues, or get to the place where you can move fast. Don't be in therapy for 10 years and 20 years. It's like, how can we get you in action of moving forward in your life and being happy? And I was getting really good results.
I want to talk about that core belief thing in just a moment, but where are you with respect to relationships now?
Well, I've been in a healthy relationship for, I'm going to say 9 years, I think. I'm not really good with that timeline.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's been, hard relationships up and down. And, but the key is that you have someone that can communicate with.
Yes.
And someone that you can hear and that listens to you, and, back and forth.
Yes. And I think communication is the key between all humans,
It
really, in terms of how we get along and sharing our feelings and, finding ways to do that. So what advice do you offer people, or can you offer people, about how to be in a relationship?
It's how to be in a relationship is, first you have to be in a relationship with yourself. So you need to learn about yourself and learn the patterns. So for me, the first thing I ask is, what kind of person are you in relationships? Are you a projector? Do you withdraw, or do you withhold? So recognize who you are in that, and then look at what your partner does, and then try to get out of those habits and talk for real. Because, what happens in a relationship, we start building a brick wall. Oh, so he did this, I'm going to withhold, and, and then up goes the wall, and then hence a separation.
Right.
Because we don't talk about it when it starts.
Yeah, because when you start a relationship, you think you have so much in common.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you get
really
to know
don't.
the person, you realize, whoa, they're totally different from me, and they don't listen when I speak, or, whatever it is.
Right.
Every relationship's a little bit different.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what about maybe, so let's talk about those core beliefs, because I think that's really interesting. Talk about that issue.
So what happened, how we got to core belief, is I do this course for 12 weeks. And then I realized sometimes that a person has a really strong belief about themselves, so they can't hear how to get beyond that belief and so on. So I have a colleague who does core belief engineering. And
So can you give me an example of what one might be?
So example would be, so today I called her in because I had this person saying, I don't deserve to be loved.
Oh, okay.
She truly, truly believed she didn't deserve to be loved, because mommy and daddy, when she was first born, gave her to her grandparents because they couldn't raise her, because they were broke. But the mind, or the heart, the mind understands that, but the heart never did. Right. So then she sabotages all relationships, and everyone leaves her, or she leaves because she can't be loved. And that's a domino effect of her life. So what we're going to do, or what she's going to do on Thursday, is we're going to go into that belief and have a conversation with that belief, and ask the child, maybe at 3 or maybe at 4, is that really the truth? Ask the adult to answer, is that really the truth?
Right.
And then we flip it over,
Right.
and then that's how people can move fast and believe now that she can be loved.
Right, because you've shifted the energy around the thought, actually.
Exactly.
So the thought, that belief doesn't actually exist anymore, because it was an illusion.
Exactly,
right? Yeah.
and that's the key.
Yeah.
The belief does not exist anymore.
Yeah. So is your heart just totally full being able to do this kind of work?
You know what? People ask me all the time, how can you do this day in and day out? And yes, some days are all bad, like bad stories and bad stuff. But it's about what I can educate them with, and how they leave lighter, and looking at, there's a possibility, or there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And that feels like you can your day finishes, and it's like, what, this was a good day today.
And you're giving support to people who may not otherwise be able to find that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So can you give maybe a couple of tips to folks on how to be good in a relationship?
How to be good in a relationship. You know what? Be true to yourself. Be very, very honest with yourself. And so, I use a really big line, and I don't know if you might have to cut it off or whatever, but I use this big line, is always, are you prostituting a piece of yourself? Don't. Just don't. So I always leave people with that thought, is there a part of you that you're just giving up, and that you're not fulfilling because you want to be in that relationship? So for you to really get clear and get honest with you, and then that relationship, all relationship work around that. Because if you trust you, then you trust people.
I love that.
That's it.
Diane, you're amazing. Thank you for inspiring us, and thank you for being inspiration in action.
And thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Great.